Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to lecture number 19. By this time we have completed our business analysis 7 knowledge areas, and now we are going to discuss the 7th in good detail. We have completed the tasks and stuff like that for remaining 6. We will have a summary of all the knowledge areas by the end of this lecture. And we do know now that there are 7 knowledge areas, and the 6 knowledge areas we have discussed, they were common in explanation. Every knowledge area is defined further by the tasks, and those tasks are defined well by purpose, description, inputs, elements, techniques applied, stakeholders and outputs, and there are different number of tasks for every knowledge area. So we were having 6 tasks for the first knowledge area, that is business analysis, planning and monitoring, and then we are having 4 tasks for elicitation, which is second knowledge area, and then for third knowledge area we are having 5 tasks, which is requirements management and communication, and then we were having 5 tasks for enterprise analysis, and then we were having 6 tasks for requirement analysis, and we were having 6 tasks for solution assessment and validation. And now we are into 7th knowledge area, and this is a little bit different than as far as explanation is concerned, but we'll see if what is the difference, and let's start underlying competencies, and we will complete this in one session on lecture number 19. But before we start today's lecture, let's have the summary of the previous lecture. In previous lecture, we had talked about solution assessment and validation. What is that knowledge area? And we had discussed that we want that whatever solution we develop and deploy, that should meet the business need and hence the needs of the stakeholders, and after implementation. We had talked about what are the solutions we like. If we are having only one solution, so still we have actually checked if that is on that adds value to the business or not, or to enterprise or not. So the criteria on which we have taken up that task and that solution, if that solution is actually giving that or fulfilling that criteria which we have set, so or if we were having like more than one solutions, proposed solutions, so then we can actually compare and we can evaluate which one is better and which can add value more than the other one. So this is done in assess proposed solution task of solution assessment and validation knowledge area. And then we had talked about allocate requirements. So we've talked about business requirements, and we've talked about stakeholder requirements, and what we have done is we actually allocated those requirements to solution components or solutions. If that is a big solution, so then solution components, or otherwise we were having solutions available. So we talked on how the requirements are actually allocated to the solution components or solutions itself. And then we have talked in good detail that whenever we carry out we carry out an initiative, or we carry out a project or something like that. We bring a change. We don't want the existing state of organization or enterprise with us. We want to improve on that. That may be by implementing a project, or by simply changing a process or something like that. Whatever may be the thing, but change is very much inevitable. And we do know now that the change is actually been resisted by most of the stakeholders, and the readiness of the stakeholders for any change is a big issue. What we need to apprehend, if we are doing good work, we've done excellent job by collecting requirements, understanding them, analyzing them, and capturing the concerns and communicating them very well, and then we were able to understand the business need, and then we've developed a very good, we've opted very good approach, and then developed a good solution scope, and hence developed a very good business case, and initiated a project, and then we have, what if that solution is developed now and that is implemented, and out of nowhere that is not been used. So एक बड़ी अच्छी केस स्टडी है कि एक प्रोजेक्ट मैनेजर है और उसने 3 प्रोजेक्ट्स की हैं रिसेंटली. उसका एक प्रोजेक्ट जो है वो डिलेड था, वो 6 महीने का प्रोजेक्ट था, वो 1 महीना डिलेड था, वो 7 महीने में उसने किया. उसके ऊपर जो कॉस्ट आनी थी वो 100 मिलियन थी, और उसने जो स्पेंडिंग की वो 110 मिलियन में काम खत्म किया. और दूसरा जो प्रोजेक्ट था उसके अंदर एक बड़ा मेजर रिस्क जो है वो हो गया, अनसर्टेन इवेंट हो गया, जिसकी वजह से वो प्रोजेक्ट भी जो है वो नहीं कंप्लीट हो सका. और अब एक तीसरा प्रोजेक्ट उसने किया, अलबत्ता स्टेक होल्डर ने, जो कि उस प्रोजेक्ट मैनेजर ने, जो कि सक्सेसफुल है, जो टाइम के ऊपर है, और जो विद इन कॉस्ट है, और वहाँ कोई रिस्क नहीं हुआ. तो अब आपके पास एक चॉइस है, या आपके पास एक ओपनिंग आई है PMO में. वी आर गोइंग टू टॉक ऑन PMO एज वेल. सो प्रोजेक्ट मैनेजमेंट ऑफिस में, जहां आप सीनियर प्रोजेक्ट मैनेजर्स को लेते हैं, वहां आपके पास एक ओपनिंग आई है, और आप चाह रहे हैं कि वहां कोई एक्सपीरियंस पर्सन लाइक दैट प्रोजेक्ट मैनेजर जो है आप उसको अपॉइंट करें. नाउ क्वेश्चन इज व्हाट शुड यू डू. क्या आपको उस प्रोजेक्ट मैनेजर को सिलेक्ट कर लेना चाहिए? उसका पहला प्रोजेक्ट कॉस्ट ओवररन था, टाइम का इशू था, दूसरे में रिस्क मैनेजमेंट प्रॉपर नहीं थी, तीसरा उसने सक्सेसफुली बना लिया लेकिन वो स्टेक होल्डर ने यूज नहीं किया. सो अब आंसर विल बी नो. व्हाई? ओके, वेरी फाइन, ही इज एक्चुअली डूइंग गुड. उसने शुरू में कॉस्ट और टाइम था, दूसरे में रिस्क हो गया जो कि उसके अख्तियार से बाहर हो सकता है, दो कि उसको मैनेज करना चाहिए था या वर्क अराउंड करना चाहिए था, बट स्टिल ही इज इम्प्रूविंग. और अब उसने टाइम, कॉस्ट और रिस्क को सारे को मैनेज कर लिया. लेकिन एक जो बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है वो ये है कि उसका प्रोजेक्ट यूज ही नहीं हुआ. राइट. सो उसने कहीं जो वो स्टेक होल्डर मैनेजमेंट जो एंगेजमेंट करनी थी वो नहीं कर सका, जिसकी वजह से दिस गाय इज नॉट अ गुड प्रोजेक्ट मैनेजर. सो ये एक बड़ी अच्छी एक एग्जांपल है कि आपने जो भी इनिशिएटिव लेना है, जो भी प्रोजेक्ट करना है, वो इवेंचुअली आपके कुछ यूजर्स के लिए होगा, कुछ आपके स्टेक होल्डर्स के लिए होगा. So working and completing one project is very fine, but eventually we need to understand that this is not the end of the world, and we need to keep engaging the people and stakeholders for exploiting further opportunities. So similarly, now you are working and you want to implement a solution. क्या वो solution आपका जो है वो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के अंदर होगा? सो इसके लिए हमने एक टास्क की बात की थी कि वी नीड टू असेस कि ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की जो है वो रेडीनेस कैसी है, कितनी रेडीनेस है उसके ऊपर, तो फिर हम उसके ऊपर जो है वो बात कर सकते हैं. एंड उसके बाद हमारा जो अगला टास्क था उसके ऊपर ट्रांजिशन रिक्वायरमेंट्स, कि आप एक स्टेट पे हैं और आप दूसरी स्टेट पे जाना चाह रहे हैं। ये आपकी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन स्टेट है, एंटरप्राइज स्टेट है, और आप दूसरी स्टेट जो कि इम्प्रूव्ड वन है। तो होगा ये कि जो करंट सिस्टम है, ये जो करंट मेथड्स हैं, ये जो करंट प्रोसेसेस हैं, ये करंट सोल्यूशन जो डिप्लॉयड है और जो आप इम्प्लीमेंट करना चाह रहे हैं, उसके दरमियान एक ऐसा वक्त आ सकता है कि जब दोनों जो सोल्यूशंस हैं वो इम्प्लीमेंट हों और आपको एक ट्रांजिशन, तो आपको वो सारी कैपेबिलिटीज़ जो हैं स्टेक होल्डर्स की वो आइडेंटिफाई करनी है कि क्या आपको कैपेबिलिटीज़ जो हैं वो चाहिए हैं वो ट्रांजिशन को इंश्योर करने के लिए। और उसके बाद जो हमारा अगला टास्क जिसके ऊपर हमने बात की थी वो था वैलिडेट सोल्यूशन। अब आपने ट्रांजिशन रिक्वायरमेंट्स जो हैं वो फाइंड आउट कर ली और सोल्यूशन जो है अब आपका आगे। अब आपने देखना है कि वो जो सोल्यूशन है जिसको आपने डिज़ाइन किया है क्या वो वैलिडेट होता है कि नहीं होता, और अगर वो वैलिडेट हो जाता है और वैलिडेशन के साथ आपको डिफेक्ट्स पता चल जाते हैं, क्या आउटपुट के डिफेक्ट्स हैं, क्या एज अ होल वो इम्पैक्ट कर रहा है, ये सारी चीज़ें बेसिकली आपको बता देता है। उसके बाद हमने बात की थी कि हमने जो भी सोल्यूशन है हमारा, हमने उसकी परफॉर्मेंस को एवेलुएट करना है कि वो परफॉर्म कैसे कर रहा है। सो वंस इट इज़ डिप्लॉयड, तो हमारा पर्पस ये है कि ठीक है वो डिप्लॉय तो हो गया, अब उसके अंदर कुछ कमियां होंगी, उनको जानना है और उनको पहचानना है और उनको एलिमिनेट करना है। अब ये जो हमारा सिस्टम है, क्या इसने वो जो बिजनेस नीड जिसके लिए ये टेकअप किया गया था, क्या जो वो वैल्यू ऐड कर रहा है या नहीं कर रहा। जो हम चाह रहे थे कि हमारी परफॉर्मेंस जो है वो 20% बढ़ जाए आफ्टर द डिप्लॉयमेंट ऑफ दैट सिस्टम और सोल्यूशन, क्या वो वाकई इतनी परफॉर्मेंस बढ़ गई है, अगर नहीं बढ़ी तो कितनी बढ़ी है, और क्या फर्दर उसके अंदर अपॉर्चुनिटीज हैं जिनको हम एक्सप्लॉइट करके अपनी परफॉर्मेंस को ज्यादा बढ़ा सकते हैं। सो दिस इज व्हाट वी हैड डिस्कस्ड इन प्रीवियस लेक्चर। Okay, so now we have talked on knowledge areas like business analysis, planning, and monitoring. We have talked about elicitation and the tasks of that. This is having 6. This is having 4 tasks. And requirement management and communication, we are having 5 tasks. Enterprise analysis, 5 tasks. Requirement analysis, 6 tasks. And solution assessment and validation, 6 tasks. And those tasks are further defined how. You must not be very familiar with the pattern now. So what we are having over there are 32 tasks for these 6 knowledge areas in business analysis, and we are left with this thing. And now we are going to discuss, but this actually depicts the abilities or the competencies or the skills or the people they have, whether they are competent to do certain things or not. So we are actually going to talk on that, if people are handy in that enterprise or not. So if they are not, we need to improve those. So let's have a look if which competencies we are very much interested in. So this knowledge area provides a descriptions of the behavior, characteristics, knowledge, and personal qualities that support the practice of business analysis. So a very important thing, whatever competencies we are going to discuss today in business analysis are equally important and applicable to any field of knowledge like project management, operations management, portfolio, program. Wherever you are, we can actually apply those competencies. If such competencies not very much related to business analysis only, but most of them are equally applicable to other body of knowledges as well. So what we need to understand is behavioral characteristics, knowledge, personal things. So everything is about underlying competencies. While we are talking about underlying competencies, we actually focus on 6 types of competencies, 6 groups of competencies. We have grouped the competencies into these 6 groups we can see over there. And the first group is about analytical thinking and problem solving. So how good one is to understand if what is the analytical pattern in the discussion or data or problem, and hence is able to solve the problem, like troubleshooting and stuff like that. And we are having competencies in this group, like further competencies, so we are going to discuss. Then what are the characteristics, behavioral characteristics, which are actually very much desired for a good business analyst. And then business knowledge, that is very important for a business analyst, because we need to improve the business practices and processes and procedures. So the knowledge of business should be very much there, and we should have a very good grasp of what actually our organization is doing. And communication skills are very, very important. This is all about project management and everything, whatever you call it. So most of us, they actually don't do anything, and they simply communicate. So project managers, they spend like more than 90% of their time communicating with stakeholders. Now that is huge and that is big. So if they are spending 90% of their time and they are actually being paid very hefty amounts, so they are being they keep the communication in very good and in excellent form. So this is very important group of competencies we are going to discuss. And then is interaction skills. This is more about a kind of technical thing. We will discuss like what are the skills over there, and then software applications, like what software applications we have. 2 types of applications which we will see, if how many people competent enough are there for those things. But these are groups of competencies we have, so we need to actually see, like if a business analyst or project manager or program manager, whatever that is, the role is, everybody needs to have such competencies, and those groups are further divided into competencies. So let's start with analytical thinking and problem solving. So analytical thinking and problem solving, the first thing is creative thinking. So while we are actually having some problem, and problems are unique, there may be a solution for that, but some other part of the world, somebody has attended that problem with their own requirements and stuff like that. We are in this part of the world and we want to have our problem resolved, so we may have different solutions for that. And why? Because different people think in different way, and those they may have different solutions as well. So those solutions may be, one solution may be more effective, the other may not be, but the point is we need to be a bit creative while we are attending to some problems. And I am going to talk on that in detail as well. And then decision making is another very good. So the more analyticals and problem, the one who is having very good analytical capabilities, who can actually relate the causes to a problem, and if those causes are eliminated, the problem is gone, and hence if the problem is gone, so we can actually take up better decision and how to make those causes eliminated, and hence decision making will be better. So decision making is another form of thinking and analytical thinking and problem solving. And then another competency is learning. like how good one is for the learning and problem solving, how do one solves problem, and systems thinking. So these are the things which we are going to cover. There are 5 competencies in analytical thinking and problem solving group of competencies. So let's start with creative thinking. So creative thinking involves generating new ideas and concepts, as well as finding new associations between or new applications of existing ideas and concepts. So हमें जो चीज़ जनरेट करनी है वो है न्यू आइडियाज़, इसको हमने जनरेट करना है, और कंसेप्ट्स, और फिर जो हमारी एग्जिस्टिंग आइडियाज़ और कंसेप्ट्स हैं उनका हमने रिलेशनशिप जो है जो नया तरीके से, नए पर्सपेक्टिव से. देयर आर बैरियर्स एज वेल इन क्रिएटिव थिंकिंग. जो सबसे बड़ा बैरियर है वो ये है कि जी जो क्रिएटिविटी है उससे तो पता नहीं क्या हम लोग निकाल लेंगे, या क्रिएटिविटी का मकसद ये है कि हम एक ऐसा सेल ईजाद कर लेंगे कि जो पूरी दुनिया की एनर्जी को या पूरे टाउन की एनर्जी की रिक्वायरमेंट्स को फुलफिल कर सकता है, और इस तरह की चीज़ें. That may be very creative, and that may happen. That may happen one day. But the point is, when we are talking, we are not talking of energy issue over there. हमारा एक अपना प्रॉब्लम है, हमें उस प्रॉब्लम को रिजॉल्व करना है. अब 2 चीज़ें हैं. एक तो ये बैरियर कि हमारे जहन में कि हमने तो पता नहीं किस मुश्किल में फंस गए हैं. दूसरा ये है कि हमें इस चीज़ को इग्नोर कर देना चाहिए कि हम किस तरह के इशू में हैं, और वी शुड फोकस ऑन हमारा छोटा सा प्रॉब्लम है, उसको हम क्या ऑप्शंस हो सकती हैं, हम ये करें, ये करें, ये करें, ये करें, एंड दैट्स इट. ये बेसिकली जो इसका बड़ा अच्छा जो क्राइटेरिया है, दैट इज किस क्राइटेरिया, एंड किस क्राइटेरिया इज व्हाट कीप इट सिंपल एंड स्ट्रेट. Always simplicity is the essence of any creative thinking. There are few things which for my perspective they make actual this thing very easy. That is simplicity and originality and the passion. Anything if somebody is passionate to resolve that, and he or she is original, and they are actually doing it very simply with the simplicity, very fine. They are very creative then, and all the creative things which are appreciated with such zeal and with such appreciation all over the world are they were very basics, and they were very simple for apprehension. The complex things, they are for particular class of people. So this is about creative thinking, and now we want to carry out such techniques. So these concepts should be innovative and appropriate to the situation, and in addition to identifying and proposing alternatives, the business analyst can be effective in promoting creative thinking in others by asking questions and challenging assumptions. So सबसे जो सीधा सीधा तरीका होता है किसी क्रिएटिव करने का, एक तो यह है कि you ask question and you challenge the assumptions. So Ibn Jawzi he said पूछो कि सीखो, कि आप if you ask you learn. So we need to ask as many questions as we can. So if you people be having interaction with the children, and what you see in them, they are not hesitant to ask any questions. They are very much ready, and even though if at times some people they humiliate children, like you don't know of that and stuff like that. Yes, there are people, but what they do, their interest, and they are so passionate to learn new things. So when this passion is getting a bit dim with the passage of time, what happens? The people they are following the traditional lines, and they become more traditional, more kind of social, according to the norms and things like of societies. The children, they don't have such boundaries, and that's why they are good creating new things like sometimes yes messes, and they create mess, but the point is they are very creative, and if we want to be very creative, then we should be acting like the children. We should be asking as many questions, and no question is absurd question, while we are very much focused to resolve the issue, right? So, and then another thing which is very important is we need to challenge the assumptions. Everything is based on assumption. This course will be conducted in such manner, was an assumption when I've started this course, and with the passage of time visibility has been cleared, and now the things have been accordingly managed and replanned. So we want to keep challenging the assumptions. Okay, what if this is not a true assumption? What if this is not going to happen? What if this is going to happen? So in any such scenario, we will be able to have very creative outputs. And how can we measure a successful creative thinking? So that can be the successful generation and productive consideration of new ideas, application of new ideas to resolve existing problems, willingness of stakeholders to accept new approaches. So these are a few successful things which are actually based on that creative thinking. And then we are having decision making, and this is the second technique, second competency which the stakeholders and especially the business analyst must possess. So a decision is required whenever it becomes necessary to select an alternative or approach from two or more options. So I like rice and I like curry, and I don't like vegetables. Just an example. So okay, so there is if I have this option, like I've been served with vegetable and rice, what should I select? Obviously I've given you the preferences. I will select rice, but if I've been served with curry and vegetable, again it is very simple. I can select, I will select the curry. And if I've been served with rice and curry, now there is an issue. We need to understand if I like what more. I mean, what is I have more liking for which thing, rice or curry. So I will, and you need to understand if what I can choose. You need to understand other parameters. You will ask me like if you like which taste or stuff like that, and there may be some creative questions on that, and then you will reach to a conclusion. Okay, he likes rice more than even curry. So now you can select. If I've been served 3 dishes, so you do know that which dish I'm going to select. So what were we doing over there while we were selecting between curry or vegetable, or curry or rice or something like that? So we were doing a decision. We are making a decision based on some parameters. So this is all we actually do every day. So we've reached to a red light on intersection. What we do, we need to take a decision. If we should stop or we should violate the light. Yes, that is appreciable, and that should be the case. We should follow and we should observe the light and we should stop. But some people, they don't. They simply violate. But that is a very low number. Majority of people, they observe lights. So over there they've made a decision if we need to stop or we need not to stop. So have you noticed that the one who is violating is actually making a decision? Okay, nobody is around, and let's give it a race. And so the speed of that violating vehicle is a little bit increased when they are violating. So they are falling just like, and then and so what is happening over there? They are creating decisions. So we take decisions every moment in our life. So and the decisions we make are based on so many other things, so many important things, like what are what information do we have? Well, I was saying that we should observe, we should stop on red light. Why? Because I have the data. I do know that if I'm not going to get stopped or people not following the red light, what is the purpose of that red light? First, we are spending some money maintaining that light, you know, installment of that light, and then fixation, and then operation, and maintaining of that. So the money is being paid from my pocket, from the pocket of people. So first thing, if there is nobody is following that, what is the purpose of that? Why we spend money over there? So if we spend, and then if a majority of people are following and somebody is not following, and he or she may become a cause of an accident, which can actually be very serious and can take a life even. So I have data for that in my mind. I have reasons for that. So in this fashion, I make decisions. So decision making is always there, and this should be very much there for system analyst or business analyst or project manager or project team. So decision analysis includes gathering information relevant to a decision, breaking down the information relevant to a decision, making comparisons and trade-offs between similar and dissimilar options, and identifying the option that is most desirable. So that may be written in 3 or 4 lines over there, but we are doing very promptly. This is very simple decision if we should stop or not. But when it comes to business analysis and it comes to project management, we should be very careful. We cannot set values. Okay, on that project, in last 10 project, I've done this decision and it will work on 11th project. No, that may not be the case. So the assumptions, the limitation, the constraints, the environment, external environment, the internal project team environment, it may be different from those 10 projects, and on this project is, every project is unique. So we need to understand that as well. So business analysts must be aware of the traps that can impede successful decision making, including the tendency to accept the initial framing of a problem, the sunk cost fallacy, and the tendency to place greater weight on evidence that confirms existing impressions. Third competency that is very important is learning. So learning is the process of gaining knowledge or skills. Learning about a domain passes through a set of stages, from initial acquisition and learning of raw facts through comprehension of their meanings or applying the knowledge in day-to-day work, and finally analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. Business analysts must be able to describe their level of understanding of the business domain and be capable of applying that level of understanding to determine which analysis activities need to be performed in a given situation. And then problem solving. Defining a problem involves ensuring that the nature of the problem is clearly understood by all the parties and that underlying issues are visible. So we are not only doing that, whatever is very much visible, we are actually not treating, we are actually trying to understand what are underlying issues. Conflicts between the goals and objectives of stakeholders need to be articulated and addressed, and underlying assumptions must be identified and tested. The objectives that will be met once the problem is solved need to be clearly specified, and alternative solutions should be developed. And alternatives are measured against the objectives to determine which possible solution is best and identify the trade-offs that may exist between solutions. And the business analyst should be aware of a number of problem solving techniques that may be applied. So these are few things which a business analyst must possess as far as analytical thing is concerned. So analytical thinking and problem solving group is concerned. And then there is a fifth competency, that is system thinking. So systems theory and systems thinking suggests that the system as a whole will have properties, behaviors and characteristics that emerge from the interaction of the components of system, and which are not predictable from an understanding of the components alone. So I do know the behavior of one person, and I do know the behavior of the second person, and I do know the behavior of the third person and the fourth person and fifth person, and I do know all of them five, and they are working in engineering wing. So I do know the working of first, second, and but the decision they will make through a process may not be that predictable, because everybody is having different mindset, and if I do know even they will be behaving something different, which is not predictable. So we need to understand the collection of that system. So is the case with the systems or solutions or something like that. In the context of systems theory, the term system is much broader than an IT system. It also includes the people involved, the interactions between them, the external forces affecting their behavior, and all other relevant elements and factors. So all these things should be taken care while we are actually going through. Okay, so this was more about analytical thinking and problem solving, and now we want to give a consideration on behavioral characteristics. That is a very important part. And first thing is ethics, the second characteristic is personal organization, and the third thing is trustworthiness. So a business analyst should follow such things. Let's see these characteristics one by one. So if we talk on ethics, so ethics require an understanding of moral and immoral behavior, the standards that should govern one's behavior, and the willingness to act to ensure that one's behavior is moral and meets those standards. Business analyst needs to consider the impact that a proposed solution will have on all stakeholder groups and work to ensure that those groups are treated fairly. ये बहुत ज़रूरी है कि हम जो भी solution implement करने जा रहे हैं वो हो सकता है कि stakeholders की competing demand हो, कुछ लोगों के लिए change positive नहीं हो, कुछ के लिए positive change हो. जिन लोगों के लिए change positive नहीं है हमें उनको भी fairly treat करना है. How can that be possible? So fair treatment does not require that outcome be beneficial to a particular stakeholder group or for every stakeholder in a group, but it does require that the affected stakeholder understand the reasons for the decision, that they are not deceived about the outcome, and that decisions which are made of in the best interest of the organization. So if somebody is been affected, they must understand that, well, if we are displaced from this place and while the road is constructed, so this is for the betterment of the society and those stakeholders. This should not be the concept like if they've been told the other day, okay, you are not going to get affected, and the other day their houses are actually been damaged or so the point is whatever we are going to do, we need to take them on board, and they should be communicated, and eventually there come a stage where we can actually take everybody on board and stuff like that. So ethics are very important for business analyst, and yes, there is a difficult thing to define moral and immoral. What may be a moral behavior for me may not be moral behavior for you. So this is very important. If we can at least set some minimal standards, and that is, we need to respect the one's beliefs and the way they want. We need to, without compromising our own working styles and beliefs on that, but respect is very important over there, and then we can have fairness, the other parameter we've got, and then honesty is very much there. So these are a few things which we may consider while we want to be more ethical while we are doing assignments and implementing solutions. So the second thing which is very important as far as that is personal organization. So personal organization involves the ability of one to readily find files or informations, timelines, management of outstanding tasks, and appropriate handling of the priorities. So that is always a big issue. It is not easy job. What we have in our life is सबसे ज़्यादा जो हमारे conflicts होते हैं वो basically priorities के होते हैं और उसकी वजह से हमें सबसे ज़्यादा issues होते हैं. So this is a very tricky thing. But personal organization जो है वो हमें काफ़ी help करती है कि हम जब जिस दिन हम काम करें उसको हम उसी दफ़ा उसी टाइम के ऊपर हम अगर आर्काइव कर दें तो वो हमें बाद में, या हम जब काम कर रहे हों तो हमें इस तरह का स्टाइल में करें कि हमें बाद में कुछ चीज़ें ज़्यादा आर्काइव ना करनी पड़ें. Information should be stored or filed in a way that enables the business analyst to retrieve it at a later date. Effective time management requires effective prioritization, elimination of procrastination, and clarity of goals and expectations. Standard techniques such as action plans, to-do list, and setting priorities are among the common approaches to effective time management for a business analyst. And then trustworthiness. A trustworthy business analyst must constantly demonstrate to stakeholders that they deserve the stakeholders' confidence and are concerned with stakeholders' best interests. Stakeholders must trust the business analyst to behave ethically and to perform business analysis work effectively in order to offset the inherent distrust based upon the possible effects of change to vested interests in the status quo or simple fear of change. Trustworthiness requires that the business analyst engage with stakeholders' needs and not the stakeholders' desires, and the business analyst must honestly address issues when they occur. So this is very important when we are actually talking of trustworthiness. Remember, they should be with their needs and not with their desires. So if a good business analyst will consider their needs and those are kind of communicated, not the desires. This is kind of a tool which actually develops trustworthiness in the behaviors. And then business knowledge, and we are having 4 competencies in this group, and we have business principles and practices, we have industry knowledge and organization knowledge and solution knowledge. So we will talk on that, what is business knowledge. And first is business knowledge. First part of business knowledge which business analyst must be very good in is business principles and practices. So business principles are those characteristics that are common to all organizations with similar purpose and structure, whether or not they are in same industry. Almost all organizations need certain functions or capabilities in order to operate, like human resource, finance, information technology, supply chain management. So business areas within and across industries often have a common set of business processes and associated systems. So these should business analyst should have very good knowledge of these principles. If a business analyst is good with finance and human resource and IT and supply chain management, he can actually propose a very good solution. And obviously it is all about enhancing the capabilities and enhancing or deploying the solutions which give the more value to enterprise and stakeholders. Hence, if the if a business analyst does know of such things with more accuracy, he or she may be able to apply better solutions. And then industry knowledge is the understanding of the competitive forces that shape an industry. So if we are having one particular industry like construction industry, so few things are very common like HR, IT, finance and supply chain. We have discussed that is more common in a different organization. But if we are working in a bank and finance is our field, so being in that field and having a requisite knowledge in that will actually add up making good decisions about that. So it requires that the business analyst understands the various customer segments that the industry services and the demographic or other characteristics common to that segment. And understanding of major trends impacting the industry will help shape business requirements. And competitors, one of the thing is competitors will making changes to their product lineup and business operations in response to these changes. And the business analyst may need to recommend changes to an ongoing change initiative in order to respond to a competitor's action. Otherwise, आपकी organization पीछे रह जाएगी. अब हो ये रहा है कि जो मेजर ट्रेंड आ रहे हैं इंडस्ट्री के अंदर और जो बिजनेस रिक्वायरमेंट्स हैं वो जो जिस तरह शेप अप हो रही हैं, जब उनके ऊपर अगर हम बात करें, अगर हम उस पर काम नहीं करेंगे, ट्रेंड्स को फॉलो नहीं करेंगे, तो हमारा कंपटीटर जो है वो कर जाएगा और एक दिन वो हमें बिजनेस से बिल्कुल आउट कर देगा. हमें बिजनेस के ट्रेंड्स को भी देखना है, हमें कंपटीटर एटलीस्ट जिसके ऊपर जाना है वो कंपटीटर को खुद से आगे नहीं जाने देना. बट इवेंचुअली अगर इससे भी बेहतर बात की जाए तो वो ये है कि हमें खुद से ट्रेंड्स को देखते हुए खुद को करना चाहिए. और एडवांस लेवल ये हो सकता है कि वी क्रिएट ट्रेंड्स, सो उसमें फिर हम कंपटीटर्स को आउट क्लास कर सकते हैं. सो दिस इज only possible if we can actually create trends for industry. It is only possible when we do know industry very well. So industry knowledge should be very much there for business analyst. And then organization knowledge, that is understanding of the business architecture of the organization that is being analyzed, who is making decisions, who is actually recommending, who is submitting the cases for approval, and who's to approach, who's doing what. So this is very important. If that is known, we can actually avoid a lot of irrelevant stakeholders, and we can have our jobs done in a timely manner. So it includes an understanding of the business models that the organization, that is how the organization generates profits or otherwise accomplishes its goals, the organizational structure that is in place, the relationships that exist between business units, and the persons who occupy key stakeholder positions. And understanding of an organization requires understanding of the informal lines of communication and authority that usually exist in parallel with the formal ones, and the internal politics that govern or influence decision making. Social knowledge, business analysts frequently work on projects that involve enhancing an existing solution or purchasing a commercially available solution rather than developing entirely new custom solutions. So in these circumstances, it is likely that the method of implementation chosen will make a significant difference in the time and effort required. The business analyst who is familiar with the workings of solution may be able to more easily identify and recommend changes that can be implemented easily while still providing concrete benefits. Familiarity with the range of commercially available solutions, or suppliers can assist with identification of possible alternatives. And then we need to have communication skills. That is very important. And communication skills can take three shapes, and that is oral communication, teaching, and written communications. Let's start with oral communications. Oral communication skills are used to verbally express ideas, information, or other matters. Oral communications are a rich channel that allow for the efficient transfer of information, including emotional or other non-verbal cues. So effective oral communication skills include both the ability to make oneself understood and the active listening skills that ensure that the statements of other are accurately understood. So हमें जब हम oral communication की बात कर रहे हैं तो उसके अंदर सिर्फ यही नहीं कि हम बोलते कितने अच्छे हैं, हमें ये भी कि हम कितना अच्छा सुनते हैं. We need to listen very carefully और फिर उसको एनालिसिस करना चाहिए कि वो क्या कह रहा या कह रही है. सो ये चीज़ बेसिकली ऑरल कम्युनिकेशन के अंदर बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट है. द बिजनेस एनालिस्ट मस्ट हैव एन अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ टोन एंड हाउ इट कैन पॉजिटिवली or negatively influence the listener. Oral communication is most effective when the information being communicated will be used in short term. So अगर कुछ ऐसे हमारे लहजे होते हैं, कुछ ऐसे हमारे पिच होती है आवाज़ की कि जो दूसरे लोगों को, बेशक अल्फाज हमारे बिल्कुल नॉर्मल हों लेकिन वो दूसरे लोगों के ऊपर नेगेटिवली इन्फ्लुएंस कर सकते हैं. सो जब बिजनेस एनालिस्ट की हम बात करते हैं और कम्युनिकेशन की बात करते हैं, सो दिस इज़ नॉट ओनली अबाउट कि वो अल्फाज कैसे अच्छे चूज़ करता है, वो भी बड़े इंपॉर्टेंट हैं, लेकिन इसके अलावा जो हमारी टोन है, जो हमारी बॉडी लैंग्वेज है, इसको भी हमें शेप अप करने की ज़रूरत है. सो दैट इज़ पार्ट ऑफ ओरल कम्युनिकेशन. एंड देन इज़ टीचिंग. And teaching requires an understanding of how people learn and the ability to use this understanding to effectively facilitate the learning experience. So effective communication of requirements require teaching skills, as it frequently requires that the business analyst educate implementation subject matter experts about the context that the solution will be implemented in. A business analyst must be aware of different learning styles, including visual learners, auditory learners, and kinesthetic learners. Visual learners कौन से हैं? Who learn best through the presentation of visual guides and models. जो तस्वीरें जिनको दिखाएं, जिनको पिक्चर्स दिखाएं, सो वो बड़े अच्छे तरीके से उसको फिर एप्रीहेंड करते हैं. ऑडिटरी लर्नर्स कौन से हैं? जो कि जब आप उनको ओरल कम्युनिकेशन के थ्रू या उनसे जो लिखवा के अगर आप उनसे करें तो वो ज़्यादा उस तरह समझते हैं. उसके बाद काइनेस्थेटिक लर्नर्स वो हैं जो काम को खुद से करके जो है वो करते हैं. सो आपको एप्रीहेंड करने की ज़रूरत है कि कोई शख्स या जिसको जो भी आपके टारगेट है या स्टेक होल्डर है उसका क्या लर्निंग स्टाइल है. So the business analyst should understand how different learning styles may determine the form of requirements communication. And then is written communication. Written communication involves the use of symbols to communicate information. It includes the ability to write effectively for various contexts and audiences. Written communication is required when information will be used at a time or place that is remote from the time and place it was created. And effective written communication requires that the business analysts have a broad vocabulary, strong grasp of grammar and style, and understanding of which idioms and terms will be readily understood by the audience. Written communications are capable of recording a great deal of information, but it is frequently challenging to ensure that the written text is correctly understood and apprehended. And then our interaction skills, we have facilitation and negotiation skills, we have leadership and influencing skills, and teamwork skills. So facilitation and negotiation Facilitation is the skill of moderating discussions among a group to enable all participants to effectively articulate their views on a topic under discussion, and to further ensure that the participants in the discussion are able to recognize and appreciate the different viewpoints that are articulated. In many cases, an effectively facilitated discussion will help participants to recognize that they have different views on topic under discussion, and the business analyst may be required to support negotiation between parties on how best to resolve those differences. The business analyst must be able to identify the underlying interests of all the parties of discussion, distinguish those interests from their stated positions, and help the parties to identify solutions that satisfy those underlying interests. Leadership and influencing. The business analyst's responsibility for defining and communicating requirements will place him or her in a key leadership role in any group or project team, whether or not there are people formally reporting to the business analyst. So leadership involves motivating people to act in ways that enable them to work together to achieve shared goals and objectives. And this is very important. So leadership is actually about motivating and hence influencing for doing the job in the favor of the work. So then is teamwork, and business analysts customarily work as part of a team with other business analysts, project managers, other stakeholders. Implementation SMEs, relationships with team are an important part of the success of any project or organization. There are a number of team development models that attempt to explain how teams form a function and behave. These models outline how the team progresses and what is normal at various stages of the team life cycle. So this is communication is very important for this thing. And then software applications. Software applications may be general purpose applications and then specialized applications. And when we talk of general purpose applications, these applications generally consist of three components in suite of tools: word processing, spreadsheets, and presentation software. So the documents prepared by these tools are primary way in which information is stored and distributed in many organizations, and business analysts need to proficient with their use even where more specialized tools are available, and they have the advantage of being low cost or even free, and almost every stakeholder will have access to them. So business analysts must be very much able to use those. And then specialized applications, industry-based applications, softwares which are very specialized. So if the business analyst wants to improve something, he or she must have very good understanding of the major features of that application. So proficiency in that thing is very much desired. So they use modeling tools to support the development of formal models, and in some cases their validation and implementation as well. Hence he should be very good in that. So this is about competencies and underlying competencies, the seventh knowledge area. And as we had talked earlier, after completing underlying competencies, we will have a look on all the 7 knowledge areas, what we have learned. So business analysis, planning and monitoring. So this knowledge area covers which activities are necessary in order to complete a business analysis effort. So we need to plan how to plan and proceed with business analysis. So over there we identify stakeholders, we select business analysis techniques, and the process that will be used to manage requirements and how to assess the progress of work. So the task in this knowledge area govern the performance of all other business analysis tasks. So this is covered. And elicitation, this describes identify and understand stakeholder needs and concerns, and understand the environment in which they work. So this is about elicitation and requirement management and communication. It describes how business analysts manage conflicts, issues and changes in order to ensure the stakeholders and project team remain in agreement on solution scope, and how requirements are communicated to stakeholders, and how knowledge gained by the business analyst is maintained for future use. So these are few things we need to, and then enterprise analysis, we had learned how to identify a business need, refining and clarifying definition of that need, defining solution scope and business case, feasibility of implementation by the business. And then requirement analysis, we have learned stakeholder and solution requirements in order to enable the project team to implement a solution that will meet the needs of the sponsoring organization and stakeholders. And then in sixth knowledge area, we had learned how to determine which solution best fits the business need, identifying gaps and shortcomings in solutions, and determine necessary workarounds or changes to the solution. And then seventh knowledge area was about the behaviors, knowledge and other characteristics that support the effective performance of business analysis. So this was a quick review of all the 7 knowledge areas. We have now better understanding which we had, and this picture is actually showing you like competencies is all about. This is the broader perspective under which we actually work business analysis, and these are the core knowledge areas in which we keep doing elicitation, and we keep doing requirement management and communication, and planning and monitoring is done throughout. So this is the whole concept of business analysis. Okay, so let's have the summary of today's lecture. In the last, there are 6 types of characteristics groups we had discussed, and we had talked about the competencies, और हमने ये भी बात की कि जो competencies ये हैं, ये सिर्फ business analysis के लिए नहीं है, ये बाकी भी field में हमारे काम आ सकती हैं. Then analytical thinking and problem solving group, and behavioral characteristics, business knowledge, communication skills, how interaction skills are important, and software applications, इनका knowledge होना business analyst के लिए कितना important है. So in this fashion we have completed our this lecture. business analysis का ज़्यादातर हमने चीज़ें cover कर ली. अब हम जो आने वाला sessions होंगे उसके अंदर techniques जो हमने पढ़ी हैं उनको elaborate करने की कोशिश करेंगे. But a total thing that business analysis has already been covered. So this is all from my side today. Have good reading of that stuff. Good luck and Allah Hafiz.